Today you're going to learn how to make these 3D game case animations in After Effects. These can be useful for gaming channels or even documentary channels that are talking about a certain video game. I'll show you where to get the 3D asset from, how to customize it to your liking with just a little bit of Blender. Don't worry, I know what you're saying, I barely know how to use Blender myself, but I promise you, all I'm going to show you is super simple. It'll be very easy to follow. I'm also going to show you how to do a quick reveal animation with 3D lighting. And I'll also give you a few tips so that you can implement immediately so that you can improve your visuals. By the way, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Irvin. I've worked with the multi-million subscriber channels, and along the way I've picked up a few tricks. And now I'm passing down that knowledge to you, so you can make some sick-ass visuals with After Effects. Alright, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna find that 3D case, and that's very easy. All you have to do is go into sketchfab.com. Here we're gonna type in game case, and it's literally the third option right there. So it's gonna be this one right here. There are a few others you can use, but I honestly just prefer this one. Now, in order to download it, all you have to do is download 3D Model, and we're going to download the GITF format right here. The reason we do that is because we're going to get a zip folder, and inside that folder, we're gonna get the different layers that go onto the game case. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So if you go to your download folder, you'll see the zip file. All we have to do is double click, and we get a folder. Let's go inside of the folder, and what we're going to be working with is this one right here. We're going to drag this scene.gitf file into After Effects. But before we do that, we're going to head into textures. And here you can see that we have all of the different pictures. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see. We have textures for fingerprints, and we have the game covers. Now this right here is going to be our key element that we're going to be changing. We're going to be replacing this image right here with the game cover of the game that we want. And I'll show you how to do that very easily without having to deal with like these weird texture controls inside of Blender. That program is a maze to me. I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. Okay, so I've opened up After Effects, and very easily, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get our picture, which is this one right here. We're gonna drag it into our project panel. And from here, we're going to drag this into a new composition. What that's gonna do, as you can see, is it'll create a new composition with the exact dimensions that we need to replace. Now, for the next step, it's actually quite simple. You're just gonna find the game that you want. You need to find the game cover art. That's what you want to search for. So here you see that I've looked up Metal Gear Solid Delta game disc art. And now we go into images, and now we want to try to find the one that shows up in the exact same way as the Gears of War one, which is basically where it has this front panel, the middle panel, and then the back panel. You want to try to find the highest quality possible, so that way you can zoom into it with a 3D camera, in case you want to do any like cinematic close-up shots. A very easy way to do this is going to Tools, Size, and then Large. And this will give you some fairly good results. And here I'm seeing right here we have the game case, and look at that. That's actually a very high quality. That's 6,430 by 3,822. That is huge. Anyways, we are going to save that picture, so let's go ahead and hold the mouse on it so we can drag it, and then I'm gonna press Command Tab just to switch back to my folders and just drag it in here. All you have to do from here is just drag the picture inside of After Effects. So we're going to again hold a click and Command Tab so that we can select After Effects. And you probably didn't see that because the menu that pops up letting me choose the program is on my other screen. So let me show you real quick. If I was to switch my main screen to this one, right, and I press Command Tab, you'll see my different programs. That's just a very good way to switch back and forth between programs. So very easy, just Command Tab. Now we have the picture here. So one thing I like to do is just to match it into the frame real quick. So I'm gonna do Command Option Shift G. There we go. So now it matched the height of the whole composition. From here, all you need to do is right click. We're going to transform, and then we're going to flip vertical. And now you want to match the width of the composition. We're going to just click over here and just drag it like this until it fills up the space. You'll notice that it looks a little stretched and a little weird, but it's supposed to look like that. I mean, the original picture, if you look at it, it also looks stretched. Just make sure it fills up the whole composition. Now you just need to export it as a picture. Again, you can do this in Photoshop. I just feel a lot more comfortable in After Effects. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Command Option S, and that way we're saving this specific frame right here. Make sure it's in full quality, by the way, because if you do it in quarter quality, I believe it saves on the quarter quality. So, you know, just make sure it's in full quality, basically. Alternatively, you can just go to Composition, and we can do Save Frame As, and then File. And it'll just do the exact same thing. Now it's going to save as a Photoshop file. We don't want that. We want to save it as a JPEG file. Press OK, and then just save it wherever you want. We're going to save it into our downloads folder. I think I just saved it as a quarter quality right after telling you not to do it. Can't make this shit up. Okay, here we have the full quality image. Now we're going to replace the original game case with the new one that we just made. And like I said, we're not going to be dealing with any texturing tools inside of Blender, nothing like that. Actually, the method I'm about to show you is kind of stupid, really. It's simple, but it works. Here's what we want to do. We want to match the same name that's in here with a new picture that we just made, that we rendered out. I'm going to select this picture, which is the original one, and I'm going to press Command C. That copies the file itself, but it also copies the name, which will be useful. So we're going to go into our download folder. We're going to go to the image we just rendered out. And now we're going to press return so that we can rename it. And you'll notice that the .jpg is being left out from the renaming process. We're going to press Command A to select everything, and then we're going to press Command V to paste it. You see how now we have .jpeg. That's what we want. We want it to match exactly the same as the original picture. And now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this over to the textures folder, right? So remember, we have texture with the original game cover here. So let's drag it over, and you're going to get a warning like this that says you're replacing the item. So yeah, you want to replace it, so hit replace. And now when you go to textures, you'll see the new game case we just made is now taking its place. Cool. So what did we just do? If we go back to our original composition, actually we'll make a brand new one. 1920 by 1080. Whoops, 1920 by 1080. There we go. And let's say we now drag in scene.gitf. Like I said, we're going to drag it into After Effects, and we're going to make it comp size. And you'll see immediately we now have our game case. And it has our game, the game that we decided to put into it. Now, you're going to see that we do have a bit of a problem. The disk is included in this 3D model, which we don't necessarily want. There's also these fingerprints. Now, you may like them, and maybe you might just want to leave them, and that's cool. But again, we still need to solve this disk problem. We don't want that to be included. This is when we're going to open Blender. So when you open up Blender, this is what it looks like. The immediate thing that I do just to make the workspace very easy to work with is I press A on my keyboard to select everything, and then I press X to delete. And you'll see it pops up with a little menu. Just click delete, and now everything is deleted. Because if you notice, we have the cube, we have the camera, and we have some lighting over here, which we don't want any of that to mess with what we're about to do. Now, let's go ahead and drag in scene.gitf. And when we drag it in, you'll get a bunch of stuff here. I have no idea what any of this does. I just hit import GITF, and there it is. You can zoom into it, and you'll see that there's nothing going on. By the way, to move the camera around like this is just the middle mouse button. It moves the camera around, but if you hold Command, you can zoom in and out. If you hold Shift, you'll kind of pan around the scene. Okay, but we're not seeing anything on the game case. We're just seeing like this bland white texture. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit over here, viewport shading, material preview. And now you're gonna see the game, right? What we wanna do is we wanna delete this game disk. Very easily to get rid of it. I'll show you how. Just drag your mouse over like this to select the disk. Press X again to delete stuff, and then press delete. Let's say we wanna now delete the fingerprints. Depending on the context, you might wanna leave them in, but in this case, let's just get rid of it. It's a little weird. You have to kind of click around. At least this is the way that I know how to do it. You click around until you kind of click the texture itself. I think I clicked it right here. So the way to know if you did is, again, by deleting. So I'm going to press X and then click. Look at that. I did select the texture of the fingerprints. So now the fingerprints are gone, and that's perfect. Another way to double check if you selected the right thing, I'm gonna do Command Z just to bring that back. Here, let's say I just wanna move it out of the way before deleting it to make sure I don't delete something else. Then I can press G on the keyboard, and that'll allow me to move stuff around like this. And you can see we just moved the fingerprint texture. This looks so weird, but so cool at the same time. But anyways, let's get rid of it. So X and delete. Beautiful. Now it's all about exporting from Blender so that we can use this in After Effects. Very easy to do. File, export, and we're going to export as a GITF. You can choose where you want to save it at, and I'm going to just choose downloads. These settings, I guess I would just leave them as this. I'm going to include these over here in case there's anything that you have different that might mess up with your exporting. You can name it whatever you want. So let's name this Metal Gear. Yeah, and then just export. And that's it. You did it. That's all the Blender that you needed. So here we have the Metal Gear 3D object. So now just hold the click and then drag it onto After Effects. You're going to get this little pop-up menu. This is because it's going to switch to the advanced 3D renderer in order for us to be able to import 3D objects. So here all you need to do is make a comp size and then press OK. And you'll see right here, it just switched it to advanced 3D. Instead of classic 3D, which is the one that it's usually in. Okay, so we have our game case right here. Let's scale it down a little bit, and let's just create a very simple animation. So let's go ahead and create a 3D camera. Layer, new, camera. And here you can change whatever settings you want. For now, we'll leave it like this. And I understand this might look very confusing if you don't really deal with the 3D camera a lot. And that is really the reason why I made the Animation Mastery program. It teaches you everything you need to know about the After Effects 3D camera, as well as other things like advanced compositing, 3D lighting, texturing, and a bunch of really cool stuff. So if you want to check that out, it's going to be below the first link in the description. It is currently at a discounted price because of the pre-order, and that lasts until the end of March. After that, I'm going to make it full price. So if you want to take advantage of that, again, first link in the description. But anyways, we're going to leave this 3D camera as is right now. I'm going to press OK, and you're going to see our game case is kind of far away. So we're just going to scale it up a bit until we bring it to where we want. And then we can just rotate it with W. So I'm just holding the W key to rotate it around a little bit. Let's scale it down a little bit more. We're now going to make a very simple reveal animation with the 3D light. So go into Layer, New, and we're going to bring in a light. We're going to make it a point light, that's fine. The intensity can stay the same, everything else is the same. Press OK. And so now we have our 3D light, which is right over here. If you want to get a better look at it, let's go ahead and switch to a 2-view camera so we can see where the light exactly is. And you can see it's right over here, so we can bring it a little closer to the game case. Kind of like this maybe. Whoops, let's select it, maybe move it over here. So now we're going to select the 3D light and we're going to press P for position, and we're going to create a keyframe. Now we want this to be the ending keyframe, right? So we're going to move this forward a little bit to about, let's say forward about 6 or 7 seconds, somewhere around here. And then for the very first keyframe, we're going to just move the light off screen, kind of like this. Yep, if I can just do it. There we go. Okay, so this one, we're gonna switch it to a top view just so we can see a little bit better where the light is. We want to push it maybe like back a little bit like this. Let's see, maybe, yeah, kind of like this, that's fine. And so now it's gonna transition like this. See, it's just going to slowly reveal the game. And now we just want to select the keyframes and press F9 to easy ease the movement. So that way it's a lot smoother. Let's bring it back to one view. Let's just take a look at what we have so far. That's pretty cool. A little bit slow. So let's maybe bring this keyframe back over here. That way the movement's just a little bit faster. That's cool. So now what we want to do is we want to rotate the game case. Press R for rotation, and we're going to make a keyframe for the X rotation. We're going to rotate it like this. See that? Let's see. We want it to end in this position that it's currently in, but we want it to start rotated like this, away from the light, right? So there's no light source. And we can maybe move this over here. And again, we're gonna select them, press F9 to easy ease them. Maybe we wanna mess around with the timing a little bit, because right now what's happening is the light, see the light is a little bit, if we switch back to top view, the light is passing way too close to the case. So maybe we can adjust the position a little bit, maybe from over here, so the starting point, let's see, something like this maybe. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit smoother. Now, one problem we have is at the beginning, it's showing the side of the game too soon. And if we want to make this sort of a mystery that's being revealed, we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to press T to bring up the intensity of the light. And we're going to keyframe the light intensity. So we're going to bring this down. And then it's going to go up. See that? As the game's being revealed. Let's bring this keyframe a little bit more forward. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. Nice. That actually looks perfect. See how it's being revealed? Now, from here on, you can add overlays, background effects, all of that cool stuff. It's all a matter of experimenting. And again, I go a lot more in depth with that inside of Animation Mastery. But I am going to give you a few tips today that you can take home and implement them right away. So that way your clients will look at you and be like, yo, what are you doing? You taking steroids or something? What's going on? Why are you improving so much? So let's make it happen, man. Let me show you a few tricks. Immediately, the very first thing I would do here is add a volumetric light in order to make it look more cinematic. And I have a folder over here of overlays and volumetric lights, and these are the volumetric lights. It's basically light that's kind of coming from above or from a very specific direction. I like this one over here. Even has like the little particles going on for it. So we're going to drag that into our composition in After Effects, and we're gonna put it in the middle. we're gonna make it a screen blending mode. And immediately you see that we've kind of transformed the scene so it has a completely different look. We might want to mess around with the curves on this so it's not so distracting because it's currently a little bit too bright. Maybe something like that. So before the effect, after the effect. Now what I would do at this point is add something in the background. So I have a folder over here of background videos and I just have a couple of different things. This one I use very, very often. So we'll just throw this one in and we'll put it in the background below everything and we'll add a tint effect. Let's maybe make the tint effect, let's give it 90% strength. So that way we can still see just a little bit of purple on it. Now we're going to lower the opacity quite a bit. So press T to bring up the opacity and just lower that down to something like that. I think 25% should be good. These particles are a little bit distracting now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply a fast box blur effect. Bring that up so that we can still keep the light effect, but the particles kind of go away. We can maybe even scale this up a little bit, kind of like that. Right, something like that. Maybe we can give it a little bit more of that fast box blur. And hey, this is starting to look nice. Now I still want there to be some sort of particle overlay so that the scene can look a little more dynamic. So I have a few particle effects over here and I can just kind of go through them and see which one I like, and which one I don't like. No. Okay, this one I like. So let's go ahead and add this one. I'm gonna drag it in, make it a screen blending mode, and I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. Right now it's too distracting, so let's go ahead and add a curves effect so that we can bring the brightness down a bit so it's not so distracting. But it still adds, again, that dynamic touch to the composition. You can scale the background up a little bit if you want. And this is already looking pretty cool. I mean, we still need to make more adjustments to really complete the look. So let's go ahead and add a few things. So let's say I add a camera lens blur. So I added an adjustment layer by pressing Command Option Y and then the camera lens blur on it. I'm gonna do, let's see, 11. Let's start with 11 just to see what we can work with. And we're going to create a mask. So I'm going to create a mask around the point I want the video to be focused on. I want it to be focused on the middle. So here you'll notice it's actually blurring out the middle. So I'm going to do Command Shift I to invert the mask. And then while selecting the adjustment layer, I'm going to press F on my keyboard to bring up the feather properties. And I'm going to feather it up quite a bit to something like this. So again, it's blurring out everything that's not necessarily important except the middle, which is the most important part, right? You're directing the viewer's eye to where they have to look. I'm going to maybe tone down the blur a little bit. Let's try, let's see, the 7 looks pretty good. So one thing I want to do here is I just want to add a bit of color to the overall scene. So I'm going to add another adjustment layer. Command Option Y, and that created a new adjustment layer. We're going to add a Lumetri color, and I have a few LUTs that I've already downloaded. So I go into the creative section, and then here are a few LUTs that I can just kind of play around with. And well, right off the bat, this one looks pretty good. So I think we'll leave this one. Let's lower the intensity though, because it's a little bit too harsh. Let's see, maybe 32, bring it up a bit more. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. The background, let's see. Maybe let's bring in a little bit of that color back. Let's see, 80%. Now, the problem I have with this composition is the game case looks way too bright compared to everything else that's being sort of engulfed in darkness, right? So what you can do for that is, let's go back to the point light and press U to reveal the keyframes. And I'm gonna go to the position keyframe right over here. And let's bring this forward a little bit. And I'm going to go back to a 2 view. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bring the light a little closer to the game, so it darkens the edges around it. See, you see that? How it's darkening everything? So this is before, this is after. It almost adds like a bit of a vignette around it. And I'm moving the keyframe forward a little bit more, the position keyframe. Okay, and this is what it ends up looking like. If you want to bring it a little closer, you can. I don't think it's necessary, because we also want the game to be visible. So I'm just gonna Command Set. Maybe just a slight touch right there. Okay, let's go back to one view, and you know, our composition is pretty much done. You can see it's kind of being in a bit of a shadow. You can't really see what it is. Here you can see the side, so maybe we need to adjust the intensity a little bit more. It's actually just make it 0. And quick tip, by the way, if you press a number and you just press any random letter on the keyboard, it just defaults to 0. So that way you don't have to move your hand away from your mouse. But now it's like the silhouette of a game, and when we hit play, it gets slowly revealed, and it's the game that we want. Now, those were just a few tricks. Of course, there's way more that we can do. And like I said, we go a lot more in depth inside of Animation Mastery. First link in the description. But hopefully this was useful to you. You know, I'm so glad to be back again, making videos. I keep going missing. I am so sorry. But no, I definitely love to do this. I love to make videos and just to chat with you guys and see you guys commenting in the video as well. It's just an awesome feeling. So I really appreciate every single one of you that tunes into these videos, regardless of how long I take to upload them. I'm sorry. By the way, I did a video where I recreated one of Imangaji's 3D animations that they did inside of Blender, but I did it inside of After Effects. So if that's something that interests you, you can click on this video right here, and I'll see you there.